Arnold took his story to the East Oregonian newspaper, reporting that the object seemed to bounce through the air like a saucer skipping across water. Within 2 days, newspapers were running front-page stories on Arnold's flying saucers, although Arnold himself had not called them that. The term stuck, however, until being replaced by the Air Force term UFO in the early 1950s.
Calling it World War II and Antarctica because we're trying real hard not to say Nazis, 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 then the Americans. That's kind of what the point is. It's like World War II is like the start of our modern timeline. It's kind of where history starts for us in our generation. Ufology definitely starts with World War II or the end of World War II. It seems like you can boil down most of the Nazis and UFOs and aliens connection to the Vril Society and the Nazis' reported obsession with the occult. And then you kind of top that off with their technological advancements in like rocketry and jet planes, ray guns, submarines, helicopters, you name it. We kind of traced everything back in ufology and in just our modern society to World War II somehow. There's not a lot of UFOs and aliens to talk about in World War II. Everyone talks about Foo Fighters. You know, Allied pilots saw things that they called Foo Fighters that seemed to match a lot of modern descriptions of UFOs like Tic Tacs and orbs. There's not much else in the actual war. We heard like UAP Gerb and David Grush kind of talk about the 1933 Italian UFO that the United States went and took from the Italians at some point. But there wasn't even really a ufology to speak of at that point to even openly discuss and document those kinds of things at the time. So that's it. Go look it up. Go watch your favorite ufologist for 16 hours. That's what you get for World War II. You get Foo Fighters, you get the Nazi occult, Nazi technological advancements. The Aldebaran mysteries about the Vril Society and through occult practices, get into contact with entities, extraterrestrials. Who knows? That gives them technology and powers. They end up making some UFOs. They send some of their stuff over to the other side where the entities are. Comes back. And through all that, the Nazis learn about UFOs, aliens, time travels, advanced technology. That's kind of the whole idea of the Aldebaran mystery and the Vril Society. So still, it's just not a lot. Seems like the Nazis had come up with all sorts of different things that looked like UFOs that were maybe helicopters or hovercraft. For some reason, a lot of people think the Nazis or a faction of the Nazis were able to establish a hold fast in Antarctica. And so I think that's as much as you get for World War II and the Nazis. You can watch all about their time traveling and occult practices, but it doesn't get much deeper than that. At least as far as the documentation goes and what the ufologists want to talk about. The Americans send Admiral Richard Byrd to Antarctica. Some of ufology thinks he was sent there with Task Force 68 to take out the last of those Nazis. They got into quite a fight. Came back, licked their wounds, and then sent everyone who's anyone, who then went on to become anyone who's anyone in bioengineering, aerospace, pretty much any type of what we'd consider like modern or advanced technology since World War II. All the people who went on to create all the companies that do all that stuff nowadays then went and visited Admiral Byrd on Rockefeller Plaza in Antarctica. And they came back and started all their advanced technology companies. We won't wander off too much into Operation Paperclip, because I'm sure we'll get into it more in the future. But at the same time as all this, the Americans absorb all of the Nazis that were involved with all the advanced technology at the end of the war. Werner von Braun, who was making rockets and smashing them into England, becomes the director of NASA, and so on. We see Nazis all over Argentina, South America. See UFO sightings all over South America. Admiral Byrd with Operation High Jump. Let's see if we got this stuff here. 4,700 personnel, 13 ships, 33 aircraft. What's the name of the place they built? They built a base called Little America 4 on the Ross Ice Shelf. Conducted aerial surveys. Say they came back early because it got too cold. 33 aircraft encompassing 6 helicopters, 6 flying boats, 2 seaplane tenders, and additional planes for reconnaissance and mapping. Kind of seems like a lot of airplanes. Something goes on in Antarctica. The Nazis and the Americans. It's really hard to tell what. Nowadays there's a lot of mostly Greer camp witnesses that'll talk to you about advanced technology bases, close contact, UFO sightings, pyramids, tank battles, werewolves, everything you could think of going down in Antarctica. Space laser bases, neutrino tracking, kind of rope that into the UFO tracking network. and scalar lasers that they use to ward off the aliens. So we get into aliens and UFOs when we get into Antarctica, which is really the end of World War II. And then all the things start happening kind of in order. One of my favorite things here is the Kenneth Arnold sighting of 1947.
On June 24, 1947, a private pilot named Kenneth Arnold spotted a group of lustrous delta-shaped objects flying around the Cascade Mountains in Washington state. Arnold's story made headlines across the country, inspiring a worldwide fascination with flying saucers, and over 20 years of US government research. Arnold's wasn't the first anomalous aerial sighting in human history, or even the first in 1947, but it captured the public imagination like few sightings before, and it birthed a new mythology of extraterrestrial visitation.
I remember he's from Boise, Idaho. He's a pilot in the war. It's like what's he selling? He's selling like fire suppression systems. And he's a business mogul. He flies his own private airplane all over the country to do his business deals and sell fire suppression systems. And he sees 9 UFOs in formation. They're shiny. They're shaped like, they're wing shaped. Reports what he sees to all the people. At some point, the reporters that get involved say that he saw flying saucers. He was kind of describing that the way that they were flying and the speed that they were flying was like a saucer over the water. He's trying to describe something different and better than fighter planes and bombers. So I would call them flying saucers, because Kenneth Arnold said that they moved like a saucer over the water. Here's his drawing. People say that he kind of becomes maybe one of the first ufologists, because after he made his reports to government people, military people, journalists, starts getting made fun of a little bit, he becomes the person who then starts cataloging and reporting, discussing, documenting UFOs. And so that's kind of where we end up at with World War II and Antarctica. Is, it seems like the Nazis were doing some advanced technology. However, they got that through a cult or aliens. The Americans get their hands on the technology and the scientists. And that's kind of the juncture. Antarctica is kind of the juncture of the Americans and the Nazis. Operation Paperclip. The Americans absorb the Nazi scientists, create NASA, and the NRO, and who knows what else. Kind of seems like later, this guy Kenneth Arnold sees some exponents of those people that went up to Antarctica flying around some of the things that they brought back, or something they built with the stuff that they brought back, or based on the stuff that they brought back. It would make sense that maybe they're just flying around some German, UFOs. And maybe they crashed one in Roswell. Or 2. Or 6 of them. Or something like that. We don't get a lot of info. It's just the start of ufology.